36. Sige, galing.
Hey, hello guys. Ako si Poul Go. My name is Paul. Filipino-Canadian commercial pilot and flight instructor dito sa Canada. So, thank you for inviting me dito, Bro Dre. Kaya, ayun. Yun lang muna.
Ayos. Maraming salamat, sir. Finally, salamat. Despite of your busy schedule, alam ko, you just move into your new house, and again, congratulations for nakuha mo na yung misis mo from Philippines and going to Canada.
Oo. Grabe yung long distance relationship. Hindi siya something you will learn a lot of things. Kaya thankfully tapos na kami sa journey na yun.
That's one thing I would like to ask you about. Pero I don't want to start there. I want to start why aviation? How did you start with aviation? When did you decide to be a pilot?
Actually, ito na yung cliche. Napakinggan ko to sa podcast mo. Ito na yung cliche. Actually, it was a childhood dream of mine talaga. Ever since bata ako, nakakita ko ng aeroplano sa ulap, sa pagtumingin ka sa langit. It just amazed me nung bata pa lang ako. So, ever since 7 years old, I knew I wanted to become a pilot. Although, when I was in college, I took up business. Sabi kasi ng parents ko, it was sort of a fallback just in case being a pilot did not materialize or wouldn't materialize. So, sabi ko, okay, parang ikaw sa college, it was parang ano lang, mema lang or may magawa lang.
May matapos lang eh, no? May matapos lang. Okay na yan.
Exactly yun. May matapos lang. Sabi ko, okay. Sabi ko, business course na lang. So, yun din yung kinuha ni Mrs. Kaya sabi ko, pwede. Sundan ko na lang din siya. And then eventually, sabi ko, nung nag-move kami ng Canada, I thought to myself, seryosohan na to ah. If wala akong gagawin, wala akong mako-commit, wala akong ma-achieve. So sabi ko, this is the perfect timing na to enter into aviation. So, ayun, it stemmed from being a childhood dream, from being a passion. Every time nagta-travel sa aeroplano, it just amazed me how airplanes fly, how a big metal can literally put you up in the sky, into the clouds, and get you to a destination. So, yun.
Nice. So, my question is, bakit hindi sa Pilipinas? Why didn't you took your flying? Why didn't you take your flying hours or the flight school sa Pilipinas?
Very good question, actually. I don't know if nakikita mo sa YouTube ko, but I think I have 1 or 2 videos na gumawa ako ng video sa Philippines about flying schools and all that. I used to really wanted to go mag-flying school sa Philippines. It did not materialize kasi una, lumipat kami dito, nag-migrate kami, so I was forced into living into Canada. Naging blessing siya in disguise to the point na, alam mo naman sa Philippines, there's parang questionable practices and all that. Obviously, we're not gonna go into details about that. Pero naging thankful na rin ako na dito sa Canada because I was forced into it. But really, nung bata pa ako, I wanted to go into Philippine Airlines Aviation School sa PALAV. So, short answer to the question, because forced immigrant. Kumbaga, I didn't know the big picture ng mga pinaplano ng parents ko. But if I had the choice, if I had to do it again, siguro magbabago na yung yung answer ko. Siguro I would have chosen Canada. If nandun kami sa Pilipinas, if we weren't immigrating here, siguro I would have applied to become an international student dito.
Oo nga. Nakita ko yun sa video mo, yung A Day in the Life of a Student Pilot. Tapos you're wearing yung t-shirt na may PAL, sabi mo, the reason why I'm doing this because I want to fly with these people one day, parang ganun.
Yes, absolutely. Yun, yeah. Yun yung parang nagbe-burning passion ko. Kaso nagbago na yung nagbago na yung
perspective,
dream trajectory. Parang gano'n, yeah, yung perspective, yung dream trajectory ko Parang ayoko nang bumalik ng Pilipinas Siguro dahil, alam mo yun, yung after so many years of living here, nagkaroon na ako ng nest, ng home na parang I don't see myself working overseas anymore. Siguro dito na lang muna mag-settle in for a bit. If there's an opportunity to fly overseas, siguro sa Asia when the border opens up again, siguro I would do it again kasi I've known a lot of friends sa Philippine Airlines. Not only sa Philippine Airlines, just Philippine aviation in general. And naririnig mo yung mga hininaing nila. So you can't help but compare. Na parang, oh, I maybe have it good here sa Canada.
Yeah. I mean, the way you speak right now, you're considering Philippines as overseas. So I
Mhm.
assume that Canada is really what's home for you.
Oh, exactly. Siguro, hindi ko napansin niya, but very, very good catch. So, siguro
Diba?
yes.
The way you say, oh, overseas, I don't consider overseas anymore. Pero dati, ito ang overseas, Canada ang
Oo.
overseas eh.
Alam ko, ikaw homesick ka na eh. Napakinggan ko sa
Yeah,
podcast mo eh.
kaya nga eh. Diba? So,
Yun,
so
yeah.
the way, I mean, subconsciously, kahit
Mhm.
hindi mo man napansin, pero the way you speak, you're saying na, oh, I don't consider myself working overseas. So Philippines is overseas now. Because for me being Poul Go, na Canada is already home. Where home is. I mean, I can't blame you. Your wife is there and your family is there. So, I mean, diba?
Yeah, I mean, sabi mo nga subconsciously nasabi ko, siguro because lesser commitments na yun sa Philippines eh. Parang binitawan ko na ibang commitments ko doon. I've moved everything dito, lahat ng siguro financial sources ko, such as yung full-time work ko. Tsaka yun nga, may bahay na rin.
Mm.
So, I really see myself living here for the rest of my life even. So hopefully it's the same with my wife who is actually listening to us right now.
Nice.
Ayun.
Nice. Before I go to the list, since
Mhm.
you mentioned earlier LDR, tingin ko
Mhm.
it's a big factor. Kasi for me, before I went into aviation, I know it's a social suicide, because it requires a lot of time, resources, attention, effort, whatever. All of it,
Mhm.
it consumes you, eh, 'di ba?
Yes, absolutely.
And what more, I mean, ako sa being single, nahirapan na ako. What more with you, with a long-term relationship, tapos overseas, LDR, how did you manage?
Ayos yung segue mo dito, bro. Ah. Ayun nga, no, it was very, very difficult kasi sabi mo nga, just having one flight is a full-time commitment. Sometimes you have to be at the airport 2 hours before. Prior to that, you were checking the weather. You're making sure you're mentally set para sa flight na yon. And then after the flight, you have your debrief and then your commute back home, and then you're gonna have to study. So juggling that plus my part-time work plus having a long-distance relationship wasn't easy. And let me say to everyone, it's not cliche na just sinasabi ko na it wasn't easy. It really wasn't easy. So siguro my biggest advice is just find that next gear, find that next parang next boost of energy, find really what motivates you and go through adversity. If you really love it, go through it. For me, aviation was my passion. So was my then yung ex-girlfriend ko na ngayon, which is now presently my wife. I was really in love with her. So both of them, ginagel ko. And I don't know, maybe there's no recipe for it. Just stick through the program. Yun lang.
Nice.
Just commitment.
Just trust the process, eh, no?
Yun, Joel
Yun.
Embiid, bro. Trust,
Just trust the process.
trust the
Did you
process.
have to make her understand your situation, or automatic lang na alam niya na, naiintindihan niya na this is what you want to do and this is the price both of you have to pay if you wanted to work na maging pilot ka and for you to be together for the rest of your life?
Actually, gusto kong i-explain sa kanya nun, but I know she wouldn't understand completely yung big picture of what we're going through, like your everyday life as a student pilot, let alone may trabaho ka pang iba. But I believe she understood it in a way na kasi nakikita niya yung success eh. 'Di ba yung result, yung passing a flight test, you earning your license, me having fun. So she gave me the space that I needed, and I think that's very important in any relationship, respecting each other, respecting each other's time, and knowing each other's personal goal, because yeah, at the end of the day, kasi back then we were still, girlfriend, boyfriend. We there was no guarantee na baka kami magkatuluyan, or who knows, diba? There is always
Mhm.
a risk associated when you're flying. So siguro yun yung fear niya. It's just siguro she had to overcome some adversity rin, understanding me. But yun, talagang we just fought through adversity. So
Nice.
here we are.
Nice, nice. Kasi yung hindi naiintindihan ng iba that bukod sa you have to study aside from the pressure, you need to work as well because it's not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
'Di
Mm-hmm.
ba? Kailangan you need to finance it. You need to find some resources or some job that can actually finance it eh.
Mm-hmm.
'Di ba?
I think unlike sa Philippines, I don't know if you have Philippine pilots viewers dito, but training in Canada is almost like enrolling yourself in a driving school wherein okay, you show up, you do your flight, and then you do a little bit of ground instruction on the side, parang sa driving school before you, I don't know kung gaano ka official yung mga driving school dito, but in my experience nung nag-driving school ako dito, may mga konting talking points kami before and after the driving, points of improvement. So it's sort of the same idea sa flying, but it requires your full attention to detail. Kasi if not, you will have to repeat that flight.
You will bleed a lot of money.
There you go. Parang, what did you say? Parang $60 a second or $30 a minute, something like that.
Right now sa multi-IFR parang
Mhm.
$6 a minute.
Di ba? It's flying money. After a minute, see
Oo.
ya, $12.
In perspective sa mga Pilipino, $6, 6 times, let's say 6 times 3. Sa 3
Mhm.
minutes, that's more than what a minimum wage earner in the Philippines earned in a day.
Mhm. Yes.
3 minutes.
Mhm.
3 minutes lang.
So, yun, ganun lang kabilis lumipad ang pera.
Ganun
So,
kabilis.
making people understand what you are now going through and what I went through is really
Mhm.
difficult unless they actually go through the process, which some of them were not really interested naman sa flying. So, like I said, I've had a lot of students who complain about cost and all that. Kasi alam mo naman, it's a business after all. The schools will put whatever cost they think, the estimated cost. But
Mhm.
that's before tax and that's before any repeat flights. So I've had students actually, sorry, konting segue dito. I've had students complain to me, oh, why am I being charged this amount of money, this amount, when it only advertised $12,000 Canadian for PPL? Well, think about it as the big picture, right? First, you are enrolling yourself in a prestige industry. You wanted to become a pilot, you think it's a walk in the park, you think it's just
Mhm.
enrolling to
Mhm.
some regular course. No, this is the same level tier as you wanted to become a doctor or a lawyer. So there's a lot of investment involved. It may be unorthodox in a way dito sa Canada, because like I said, you can just literally enroll yourself, parang oh, driving school type of scenario.
Competence
But
base eh, no?
exactly. Yeah. That's what I keep telling my students. We are not going to progress if you don't show me that you're competent enough on this lesson, for example. And then we won't progress until you show me that you're capable. So it is what it is.
Yun yung laging tinatanong sa akin eh. That's what people always ask me. Oh, what are you working on? So, oh, tapos sasabihin mo, oh, I'm working on my multi-IFR right now. Oh, how many hours
Mhm.
do you still need to fly? Sabi ko, hindi yun based on hours eh. Based on yun competence eh. Once you're competent enough, then your instructor will sign you out para pwede ka na mag-flight test. It can take
Exactly.
10 hours, 20
Mhm.
hours, 30
Mhm.
hours. So it's highly dependent on you. Parang
Yeah,
ganun.
no. I've had students who accomplish their first solo in less than 20 hours. But I've had students who accomplish within 20 to 30 hours. I've also had students more than 30. sometimes even more than 40 hours. So, it's just a matter of showing that you're competent. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of students put pressure on themselves, and that's maybe this is an aviation talk after all. So a little segue again. A lot of students actually put pressure on themselves, peer pressure, parang social pressure na, oh, this guy did his solo in like 15 hours, but he doesn't look like he can actually fly a plane. How come he did it in 15 hours? But me, I'm already at what, 25 hours, and I still couldn't figure out the flare and the landing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's those uncontrolled, unnecessary pressure that I find, which hurdles the student to progress. More than anything, a lot of students, they don't complain about they don't complain about the money, but they want to see result. But sometimes they don't want to work and eventually see that result. So, it takes two to tango, di
Mm-hmm.
ba? Hindi lang isang instructor yung nagtuturo sa'yo. Yeah.
Mismo. At the end of the day, it's all about the ladder in the social hierarchy, no? Pag meron
Mm-hmm.
sila nalaman na they know someone or yung kaibigan nila know someone na naka-first solo ng 20 hours, if you don't reach the first solo on 20 hours, then you're a failure.
Mm-hmm.
'Di ba?
Mm-hmm.
Yun na yun. Then
Yeah.
nape-pressure na sila. Habang
Yeah.
tumatagal yun, habang lumalayo sila sa 20 hours, lalong tumataas yung pressure na the more they frustrate themselves, the more they detach themselves, they are not focusing on what they need to focus on, 'di ba?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, classic example right now, yung isang student ko, she thinks na kapag if you went solo more than 25 hours, she thinks you're not good anymore. So part of being an instructor, maybe you want to become an instructor as well. We can all learn a thing or two, I guess, today. Um, is you when you signed up to become an instructor, you don't realize that you're actually signing up to be a parent as well. Like
Mm.
legitimately, um, parang talagang you want to motivate the student. Because when I thought of becoming an instructor before, oh, it's so technical. I'm gonna teach you my skills and all that. Tapos, but the behind the scenes is really taking care of their ego, their emotions, their mental capacity, even to some degree, which I don't think I signed up for when I wanted to become an instructor. But here we are now.
To some extent, parang merong hidden agenda, no?
Mm,
It's not
yes.
just they're not just there to learn how to fly. They're there. Some of the people, they're there to prove something.
Hmm.
'Di ba?
Yes.
Parang to claim their statue in the social hierarchy, parang ganun.
Yes.
Sa
To
mga
claim,
sa circle nila.
yes. If oh, I'm a pilot now, look at me, let's go fly a plane. There's always that uncontrolled parang thinking ng isang tao. Siguro it's human
Human
nature in
nature,
this,
yeah.
yeah, this day and age of social media. You want to show off because it's such a privilege to be able to fly a plane and see the world from a bird's eye view. But yeah, I guess people mature over time. I know I did because before I considered myself as parang medyo cocky, parang oh you wanted, parang I wanted to show everyone, here I am, I'm flying. But now medyo limited because I know, throughout the years as well, medyo nag-increase din yung following ko. So I'm a little bit more careful kasi marami bata rin na nanonood. So I
You're
make
more
sure
cautious now. The more famous you
yes.
get, the more cautious you are, huh?
E- exactly. But I'm not famous. Little bit.
A little bit, a little bit, a little bit. So, what's being a CFI? What can you say is the most difficult part of being an instructor?
The most difficult part siguro is just hmm, I actually read this question beforehand, but I keep switching answers. Siguro yung uncertainty of the job because every day you don't actually have a guarantee. Meaning yung weather pangit. Yung student did not prepare for his lesson very well, so you have no choice but to stay grounded and make sure he knows the lesson. So you're gonna have to teach. Siguro yun kasi me being a husband, all I want to do is to be able to provide for my
Provide,
family.
yeah.
But because my job is such not a guarantee, that is sort of the struggle. Okay, as a flight instructor, I'm actually looking for other revenues as well, such as first yung YouTube, yung income. I sorry, yung a little bit of passive income on the side. But more than anything, that's why I wanted to call, that's why I'm calling Canada my home, is the ability to be flexible and look for other part-time jobs while still focusing on my instructing job. So yeah, little do everyone know, I guess, I have some part-time jobs on the side here, which I do when the weather is bad and
Mm.
I can't go flying. So yun.
Yeah, nakikita ko nga yun sa mga story mo eh.
Mm. May pakonting parang grab
Yeah,
driver sa
yeah.
Pilipinas. Ganun.
Yeah,
Kailangan mag-hustle.
true, true. What is the most common mistake for new students that have noticed?
Okay, so let me talk big picture here. Common mistake that I usually see is just mismanaging their expectations. They come to the flight school, they have this certain parang even I don't know fantasy expectation na, oh, I'm gonna get my PPL at 45 hours. I'm gonna do this summertime next year. I'll be commercial pilot. Like, okay. All you need to do is basically parang the challenge is to make sure to correct them, because that's if your mentality is wrong, then chances are you're gonna fail soon enough. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the part that sometimes I also struggle as an instructor, because who am I to say, oh, you're not good enough to do this, maybe you should change your plans. And it's always bridging that gap. How are
Mm-hmm.
you gonna stay respectful to the student? How are you gonna let the student know that it's his money after all you care about is to make sure he doesn't fail. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, they think, oh, no, I know better. You don't know anything, especially when they see a young flight instructor like I am. I've had students a little bit older than me, maybe sa mid 40s, ganon. They don't believe me because we have 15 years of gap. So, but hey, I'm just sharing my professional advice. Follow it if you want. If you don't want it, let us do it your way. But let's see if you're going to succeed or otherwise. So, ayun.
Yeah, that's actually my next question. Considering because you are young
Mhm.
as a flight instructor, so is it being a problem? Is it starting to be a problem, especially when you have older older students who wants to get their PPL and they're doubting your credibility just for the merit, just because you're young.
You know what? I'm very blessed and I'm so thankful because all my students, I think more than 50% of them who has flown with me ever since last year when I began flight instructing knew me because of YouTube.
Mm.
So there is already that expectation that was managed. There was
Mhm.
already that sort of respect
And
coming
credibility
in.
na, oh, si Paul, he knows what he's doing. He can fly. Okay, okay.
Yes, yes, yes. But unfortunately, dun sa siguro less than 50% remaining, siguro I've had quite a few rin didn't understand where I was coming from. And that's the thing about aviation, right? If you can't get along with your instructor, you can always request for a new one, right? It's your money after all.
Mhm.
Pero yun nga, unfortunately, there's been a few, and you will go through it as well if you ever become an instructor. That there's nothing much to do. You can just talk to the CFI, consult the CFI. Hey, this is what's going on. He really doesn't seem to listen. He has his own ways. He wants to do it this way. Obviously, we have to follow it to a certain degree, following the syllabus that was approved by Transport Canada. But in terms of the struggle, I just let basically the school manage it because
Handle it, eh, no?
yeah, it's beyond my pay grade, if you may.
Yeah, true. I mean, if, there's no way that you can change someone's mind if they already have this like prejudice na nakita
Exactly.
nila na oh, he's young.
Mhm.
I want an older one.
But you know what? A year and a half, or no, a year and 1 month in already instructing, I feel like I've gotten better as well. Because I look back from last year when I was so nervous of actually teaching my first batch of students. I'm like, I want to make sure that I give the best to them. I want to make sure that, every time we see each other, they learn something new. So I feel like a year has gone. Ngayon, when I get brand new students, I can manage them a little bit better. I have more confidence visibly, I guess, because some of them actually take a video of me and they replay it at their, yeah, no, it's actually pretty funny because they wanted to make it cheaper, and obviously I'm the guy who they see on YouTube. So yeah, sure, film this ground briefing session,
Mhm.
replay it at home, saves you a lot of money. I'm okay with that. Saves us time as well. So yeah,
Mm. True, true. I mean, it's the learning of the students that's the
yeah,
primary objective naman eh, no?
exactly. Yes.
'Di ba? 'Di ba? Did you mention earlier that flying has been your childhood dream,
Mhm.
but instructing is a different thing. When did you decide to be an instructor?
Very good question. Nakakatawa actually because I was listening to your podcast and I wanted to segue that as well, pero naunahan mo na ako. Actually, when I finished my multi IFR, I think August 2018, I went back to the Philippines kasi yung isa sa mga ninong namin sa kasal eventually turned out to be one of our ninongs na sa kasal. And just used to be my friend kasi whenever this captain comes sa Vancouver, I meet with him. I actually connected with him through a friend of mine who's also a pilot sa America. Um, Sorry, where was, anong question? Nawala ako tuloy.
When did you decide to be
Oh,
a flight instructor?
instructor. Ayun. So when I met with him, sabi ko, oh, I'm gonna give it a shot sa Philippine Airlines because this guy is one of the senior captains. So
Mhm.
one of the training captains even. Sabi ko, I might have a good shot here. But obviously back then, pre-COVID, the industry was so competitive that I didn't even have enough hours to actually merit an interview.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, I told myself, if it's not gonna work out in the Philippines, I wanted to go back to Canada. When I
Mhm.
went back here, I applied for a couple of jobs dyan sa Winnipeg, actually. Perimeter Aviation. I know
Oh
you're
yeah,
not in
yeah, yeah,
Winnipeg
yeah.
right now. Sa Perimeter.
Perimeter,
And
yeah, I
then
know.
there's one more, I forget. Skycare ba yun? Skycare in Winnipeg also.
There's
But
Sky Carrier.
they're offering me the Sioux Lookout base. It was actually a transition job from a rampy to becoming a pilot. So I
Parang
essentially
pilot in
got,
waiting. Pilot
yes,
in
parang
waiting.
ganun. Oh, I actually chickened out. Sabi ko, malamig, mag-isa. I feel like I'm not mature enough to live by myself. I don't know, malayo sa pamilya, LDR pa. Siguro, it was a different story if andito yung asawa ko. I would have jumped on it.
Mhm.
But sabi ko, huh? And then that was the tipping point. I told myself, I think I'm gonna become an instructor. So that was my motivation to build. Obviously, I'm guilty of it. I just wanted to build hours initially. I wanted to just use it as sort of a transition to becoming an airline pilot. But then when I began my training, the challenge of just learning how to fly on the right seat, let alone just flying on the right seat, tapos magtuturo ka pa. I took in the challenge and I told myself, hey, I think I can make something out of this. And until my first flight, I didn't want to become an instructor. So after nung mga siguro mga second flight, third flight, when it was starting to sink in, hey, I think I can get comfortable and I actually see myself teaching someone. So
Yeah, it's
ayun.
I can only assume kasi ako hindi naman ako. I never sat on the right seat pa. Puro left seat lang ako lagi. Eh.
Mm-hmm.
'Di ba? Parang it's just like driving eh. 'Di ba? Driving here na dito tayo sa left hand and when you go elsewhere sa England or wherever and then you'll be operating the gear on your left hand naman, 'di ba? So it must be really challenging. But my question is, what is the most challenging part from your PPL, CPL to your instructor rating?
Excellent question again. It's hard to. Are you talking about like specific? exercise skills or
I mean, yeah, it's a exercise or what you need, the the skills that you need to master that really challenge you the most.
siguro for me mastering spins was tough for CPL kasi my instructor for PPL never really exposed me to spins. I know you have to do at least one spin prior to your solo, but I never got the chance to explore it even further. So there was a stigma that was put to me. But then
Mm.
obviously that stigma went away after nung nag-instructor rating na ako. It was just we kept doing spins and spins and spin like almost every day. So it went
Na-
away. But yeah,
Nahilo ka na eh, no?
daig pa roller coaster eh.
Oo.
Pero no, yun lang. Spins was tough, but generally speaking, I think the big picture here, the most difficult part for me when I was doing my training is just managing my time and making
Mm.
sure I stay current. Diba? Mahirap pag nawala yung currency mo, you have to do another flight with an instructor. So just
Yeah.
trying to make it cheap as possible as well for my parents who's paying for my flight training obviously, and staying within my time frame of the goal, making sure I successfully finish everything within my expected time frame. So yun.
Speaking of expected time frame, considering that you have it,
Mhm.
so how did this lockdown and all this shutdown with the aviation affected you? And how did you manage? Kasi meron ka ng expected eh. Sabi mo na,
Mm.
2019 or 2020, by then,
Mhm.
meron na ako, I have enough hours, I have all the necessary things for Encore or WestJet or Air Canada to consider me.
Mhm.
And then, COVID happened.
Yeah, I mean, through a really big curveball. Kasi when I was coming back from the wedding, February 2020, and then the whole world was about to shut down. So I actually made it back on time here sa Canada to avoid any unnecessary sort of lockdowns. So
Mhm.
I got back here. I was one of the first few na actually in a quarantine. And I told myself, oh, this is just, a small bump after 1 month, 2 months, we'll be back. But then I started hearing a lot of my co-instructors, they got laid off. They do like, and now when I reported back to work, when I eventually nag-open up kami, I think that was way back. Oh, no, 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 not way back. That was 2 months after the initial lockdown, mga May, I would say, last year. Um, you see this Air Canada training captain essentially who's back flight instructing. So
Mhm.
ang first thought ko was like, man, it's that bad. Kasi this
Red
guy is
flag na
probably
kaagad eh.
one of the most senior, if not the most knowledgeable A320 training captain. Andito siya. Sabi ko, what is going on? Tapos,
Mhm.
eventually, we flying sa flying school never got deterred by I guess the COVID kasi in fact it's the opposite. A lot of students found time, whether it's local students or international students, they actually found the time to jump in and begin their flight training journey. So in terms of workload, we were okay actually. There were yung company that I work for right now, actually took down the incentives, a little bit of the bonuses and all that. So that was sort of a parang yun lang yung parang konting sacrifice namin.
Mhm.
But other than that, I think we're still okay.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, it's been that way ever since last year. So hopefully, and there is a lot of positive news coming in, especially the past 3 weeks. A lot of our instructors, well, not a lot, maybe two or three. A lot is wishful thinking, but two or three actually got called back to their respective airlines.
Nice.
So we're getting back.
Nice. I mean, dito rin eh, sa flight school namin, they're busy. So you guys there in Vancouver it's also busy. But the thing is, that's not your main goal. That's not the basis of your plan eh. That's
Yes.
yung time frame mo hindi naman naka-base na maging busy yung flight school eh. Your time frame is for you to fly those jets eh. So how was it when all this lockdown happened?
I've planned it in a way na yung IFR ko was still going to be current when I apply for a job. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought, hey, you know what? In about 6 months, I think I am gonna try my luck and do apply sa Encore sa WestJet because fun fact actually before pre-COVID, I'm saying yung WestJet there is a flight path program wherein if you have 250 hours you can get an interview, essentially put your resume in, and then parang you can start ground school, and then when you reach a certain hours, whether it be 750 or sometimes even lesser for some of the case of my other friends,
Mm-hmm.
papatawag ka na eh. You will actually get the nod and
They
become an
probably
FO.
put you sa ATR mga ganun.
Q400 ata.
Mm.
Yeah, so I thought I'll be out of flying school, obviously pre-COVID. Iniisip ko to nung wala pa yung COVID. I'll be out of flying school by at least December 2020. But obviously nag-expire na rin yung IFR ko and everything, so I have to renew that and start studying. And speaking of start studying, ayun nga, a lot of my colleagues sa school, they're actually beginning, meron kasi kaming tinatawag na IFR seminar sa school namin. So, ang customers actually is us, not outside customers.
Yung mga
Kasi
instructor ang
mga instructors, because they were all preparing for the opening again.
Mm.
So, yeah, a little bit of positivity there.
Nice, nice, nice. Well, at least you
Yun.
you you were able to manage it well because as we all know, there's a lot of people who actually broke down, especially those people who's been flying the airlines. Tapos their lives were set up in a way that they will continuously
Mm.
fly, 'di ba? Tapos
Yes.
biglang walang
Yeah.
flying and you have all these bills. Tingin ko yun yung pinakamasakit nila sa ulo eh.
Totoo. I mean, ang
Plus
naging
yung
silver lining
identity rin
at
nila eh, di ba? Yung identity din nila eh, being an
being a
airline
pilot.
pilot. Now, you're no longer a pilot. You have a license, but you're not flying. You're not a pilot.
Exactly. I mean, ang konting silver lining is some of the older, I guess, captains were forced into retirement. And that's what unfortunately happened dun sa ninong namin sa Philippine Airlines.
Mm.
But I guess when it opens up again, obviously, mga little bit junior captains, mapopromote to training captains, and then obviously, aangat lahat, and then we'll all come along sa bottom. And then,
They
the
will need
cycle.
more first officers.
Ganon, yes. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess yun yung silver lining. I guess they took the knee for us, so to speak. But some of them actually, I know, nag-switch ng jobs, yung ibang mga FOs, they went into some other industries, which is unfortunate because, di ba, yung investment mo sa aviation, it stems from when you started your flying school.
Mm-hmm.
Every expense and every cost that basically lumabas sa pitaka mo, it's out the door now kasi now COVID really threw a big curveball. But we're just, I guess you and I were a little bit fortunate na hindi wala pa tayo sa airlines. We're
Mm-hmm.
the least affected
Affected
yeah.
dun sa
So
international travel.
yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
aside from financial aspect, especially, syempre yung the sacrifice that they had to take, 'di ba? Yung
Mm-hmm.
effort when they were studying, 'di ba?
Yeah,
That's a
everything,
lot
time, lahat.
and then now biglang wala. Wala palang trabaho nag-aantay sa iyo.
Yun na nga. Yeah, actually,
From a shortage of pilot worldwide.
to a shortage of job.
Ganun
Grabe.
nga eh. Ganun nangyayari. So, ang next question ko is what will be your favorite part in terms of the studying, the learning how to fly? So, kanina sabi mo the most challenging will be spin when you were learning. So, what will be your most favorite part of aviation, do you think?
Favorite, first off, right off the bat, in terms of exercises, instrument. Because,
Instrument, pag naka-hood ka, gusto mo yung naka-hood ka.
yes, I actually loved flying IFR so much. Now I hated, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to become an instructor back then after ng multi IFR ko. When I was exposed to the IFR world, I thought VFR is just a joke. Kasi when you're talking IFR, you're really in the same frequency of Air Canada, of
Yeah,
WestJet, Japan Airlines, Philippine Airlines, dito sa Vancouver. So it just puts you in the same sort of stage, diba?
big
Of
man's
the
game, no?
yeah. So when I was flying IFR, I really enjoyed every flight, even though I was probably paying $6 a minute.
$6 a min. What are you guys using nung nagte-training ka for multi-IFR? What kind of plane?
Duchess, Beechcraft
Oh,
Duchess.
Beechcraft. I
It's a
see.
very, very smooth aircraft.
Hindi pa ako nakakasubok ng Beechcraft.
Anong plane mo? Anong plane mo sa multi?
When I was working on my multi last year, March, PA-44, Piper Seminole.
Piper Sunny. Mabigat.
Top, uh, ayos lang. ngayon naman Piper pa rin, pero PA-34 naman, Seneca dito.
Seneca.
Kinuha ko kasi yung multi-rating ko sa Cornwall, Ontario.
Talaga ba? Yung
Mm.
previous CFI namin, actually two of our previous CFIs, doon nag-training sa Cornwall, Ontario,
Yep,
sa
doon ako
aviation.
sa Cornwall, Ontario. Tapos,
Hmm.
ayun na, ila-lockdown na nila.
Oh.
Sige, gawin na natin yung ano mo. Check ride na tayo. Bago natin
Hmm.
isa race school, check ride muna nila lahat ng estudyante.
Okay. So, kaya nakuha mo last year
Last year,
pala.
March.
Hmm.
Mga March 23 yata, parang ganun. Tapos, and then, ngayon, tapos sinara nila lahat ng school. Tapos ngayon, I moved to here, Alberta, Canada. Tapos, yun. Now, I'm working on my
IFR.
multi-IFR naman.
And I think
Yeah.
you can speak for this as well, di ba? Ang maganda sa multi-IFR is it's so procedural based. Na it's
Mm-hmm.
almost day and night, black and white. Na, okay, engine failure, whatever procedure gawin mo. Unlike sa VFR flying with PPL and CPL, sometimes it's not objective anymore. Sometimes it's subjective, meaning each instructor has their own sort of input. Each instructor
Mm-hmm.
has their own style, which was the challenge for some of my students when they fly with other instructors. For example, supervisory flights. This instructor taught me this way. How come you're teaching me this way? So I had to explain. Every instructor has their own ways. As long as we all follow the same Transport Canada standards, we are fine. So yeah.
Kaya nga. Iba-iba. Me being a student, I experienced. Nagkaroon ako ng maraming instructor din.
Mm-hmm.
So, from one instructor to another. Kasi nga, just like what you said earlier, if it's not working with this instructor, you're always free to switch to another instructor, di ba?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yun, that's which I did. Yun, ganun nga yung nangyari. So,
And
iba yung style niya.
I think, bro, that's the luxury that we have dito sa Canada. Kasi sa Philippines, it's all sort of military culture. Na, no, itong instructor mo, ano kanya, parang
Sa kanya ka
parusahan
na.
kanya.
Sa kanya ka na. Hindi ka pwedeng kunin
Under
ng isa,
kanya.
otherwise mag-aaway sila. Parang gano'n, mga gano'n.
Yun yung naiwasan natin.
Yeah, nakita ko, I saw your video, you went to Omni and you went to yun sa mga flight schools sa Philippines.
Yeah, but I never felt the connection eh. I knew I wanted to do that for my peace of mind na parang, did I miss out something here? Kasi nagbigyan na ako ng flight training noon. I was working on my PPL. Sabi ko, when I went back home sa Philippines, I wanted to see what it's like. I just wanted to feel the school, ganon. So at the end of it, sabi ko, you know what? I think I really made the right decision. Maybe God has something planned for me. Kaya he brought me to Canada, and here we are, a few years down the road.
If you can go back in time, what will you do differently? Let's say nasa Pilipinas ka pa, college ka sa Pilipinas, and you know eventually you're gonna end up in Canada. What will you do differently?
Siguro I would have still visited the flying schools there just to gather information, but I would have prepared myself entirely for the future dito sa Canada. Meaning I would have already began studying or doing some research kung ano yung mga school dito. Because I didn't really do that until I was settled in, and I was working part-time sa McDonald's. There was no future per se for me because I feel like, oh, I'm earning money here, I'm living with my parents, the first taste of actually earning money,
And
I'm
good
contented.
money despite
Yeah,
of
despite minimum
na
wage.
minimum wage. It's still good
So
money.
I felt like I was contented, but then sabi ko, I felt like I wasted, ngayon, like talking back now, I felt like I wasted time there. I should have jumped right into it. So, ayun.
Natatawa ako kasi that's the same feeling I'm having.
Alam ko nagtrabaho ka sa Toys R Us, di ba? Sabi mo sa
Yeah,
podcast mo.
when I landed 2015, ang una kong trabaho, Toys R Us. Overnight store associate. So, background lang. So, ano yun eh. I landed September, na-hire ako October, so holiday season. So, tao
Busy.
pupunta sa Toys R Us, kukunin lahat ng laruan. Ang trabaho ko nun is to fill the shelves eh. And then I was the thing that saved me from insanity is that I've been reading self-help books and listening to podcasts and na motivational, mga ganun-ganun. Otherwise, I would lose my mind. Kasi it took me 5 years sa college, sa Pilipinas. And then, pagdating ko dito sa Canada, ito lang naman pala gagawin ko. Sana di na ako nag-aral.
Yun, yeah. I almost had the same concept. Kaya sabi, I almost put my aviation dream to hold kasi I felt like, oh, I think I'm earning a little bit of good money here. Tapos kasama ko yung family ko. What can go wrong? Di ba? Parang ito yung parang katumbas ng American dream. You have opportunities elsewhere. Everywhere, actually. So, ayun. So, siguro what I would have done differently is right after pag-landing dito noong 2014,
You would have started your aviation.
everything. Like college, like flying school, lahat.
And for those
Kasi
people who don't know, you're AM ka rin, di ba?
AME, yeah, I actually took up BCIT, Aircraft Maintenance Engineering, for about a year and a half. So, yun, a little bit of background in terms of that helped me in terms of going into the flying school.
So why be AME and then a pilot? Bakit may AME pa in between?
So, ito na naman yung parents, they're advocating again. Oh, just in case becoming a pilot
Plan B ulit. Plan B ulit.
So, may una ng plan B, yung becoming, kukuha ng degree sa Philippines. May another plan B pa pala dito, which was the plan C. Para bago ako maging pilot daw. Which I respected naman kasi sabi ko, at the end of the day, it's a big risk, di ba? Siguro putting myself into them na alam mo yun, baka mamaya half-dedicated lang ako sa becoming a pilot. At least, there is some education I already accomplished beforehand. So, sabi ko, oh. And then it turns out, actually, I enjoyed it. One of the most fun tawag dito, most fun learning, I guess, times in my life. Kasi, sabi ko nga, sa Pinas, easy peasy lang. Parang, papasok lang ng college, take down notes, barkada, ganun. Tapos uwi na, tapos kasama yung girlfriend, ganun. Parang it's not really centered into learning eh. At least for me, nung nasa college ako, hindi ko masyado na seryoso. So pagdating ko dito, it was a big
Same lang ako rin,
culture
di ko
shock.
rin alam kung paano ako pumasa eh.
Teka, saka ba bro? UE ka ba?
UE.
Oh, kapitbahay lang tayo. Uste ako eh.
Uste ka ba? Uste.
Oo. Uste kami. Ito, sila na misis ko.
Nice.
Mula elementary. Pero, ayun nga. So, when I came back, kasi actually, 2011 nag-land kami dito. Pero umuwi ako ng Pilipinas. Tinapos ko yung college ko nga. So, when I finally came back here for good, permanently, 2014, yun, naging culture shock sa akin mag-aral dito sa college. Buti na lang nagkaroon ng mga konting Filipino friends. Lalo na yung inaral ko pa talagang hands-on, nag-ano ka ng tools. Eh, alam ko sa
Yeah.
mga tools lang dati, ano yan, pampalo, ganun.
Di
Dito may
ocho, di
mga,
ocho. Kunin mo yung di ocho.
yun, mga ganun, di ba? Sabi ko, hindi ko alam yung mga terminal. Anong wrench? Anong ganto? Ano yun? Anong ratcheting
Yung
screw? Ano yun?
yabe yun.
So, yun. Pero I enjoyed it actually kasi I'm able to use it to teach my students up to this day.
And
Mga
it's a
learnings
good
na nagawa.
background as well.
Very good for the resume.
Oh. Diba? It's very, very crucial. Not necessarily crucial, but it's really an advantage for you
It
having that.
actually, parang napapansin yung resume mo. So, I've actually handed a few resumes over the past 2 months. Nagtatry lang ako ng mga opportunities. I've had one catch actually. Nag-offer sa akin sa Nunavut, sa Iqaluit. Holy shoot. Sorry, butik na ako magmura.
Northern Territory, 24 hours daylight dun, sir.
Yun. Kaya sabi ko, dalawa lang pumasok sa isip ko. Parusahan ko kaya yung misis ko, doon kami mag-move agad. Or...
manghuli kayo ng polar bear doon.
Yun na nga. Kaya sabi ko, uy babe, itong situation. Pero at the end of the day, hindi ko kinuha kasi sabi ko, it's the lifestyle that we are chasing here. Not really, becoming a millionaire in an instant or doing this. Sabi ko...
You want something sustainable, of course.
Oh, yun. Yes. So that balance, diba, of lifestyle and work. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's really crucial pag tumira ka ng Northern Territory. That's the same reason not everyone is there.
Totoo. Parang kala mo basketball game, crucial moment.
Crucial moment, no? Pero it's something to consider siguro kung binata ka.
Yes. Ikaw bro. Baka after multi-IFR mo.
Pwede. Bakit hindi?
Diba?
Manguhuli ako ng polar bear. Okay. So, today is Sunday. Tuesday, malaki ang loto, sir. 70 million ang loto sa Tuesday.
Tumaya na kami.
Tumaya. Very good. Ako rin tumaya. So, if you win the lottery and if you will buy a plane, what kind of plane will you buy?
Actually, hindi ako ganun ka-ambisyoso sa aeroplano eh. I'm more of a hands and feet guy. I'm not really an autopilot guy. So, if I would choose, siguro either a trusty old Cessna 172 or even a bigger 210, Cessna 210. But the ultimate dream, kung meron man, is obviously money permitting, is Beechcraft Bonanza. Bonanza.
Ayaw mo ng mga Gulfstream, mga ganun?
Hindi ako, alam ko it will take me to places, pero I'm more of an aviation geek, general aviation guy na, okay,
GA pang corporate no? Pag naka-Gulfstream na eh.
I mean, sinabi ko na I'm all for IFR. IFR is, my parang my game. Pero I can still fly IFR as long as I have IFR-equipped instruments sa loob ng Cessna ko eventually kung magkaroon man ako Cessna or Beechcraft Bonanza. So, it's still the same thing.
So, being in British Columbia, are you considering getting your float rating as well?
No, actually. Hindi ko siya kinonsider. It wasn't for me. Hindi ako na-intriga. Hindi ako na parang... Uy, float plane, ganda. You're flying low and parang even in bad weather days kasi you only need this much ceiling, this much visibility, and plus there's so many water here na you can just do a quick landing, di ba?
Yeah.
But never really
interested.
Never interested me.
Talaga?
So, I wanted to be a passenger, but getting the rating kasi actually medyo bogus yun eh. Itong sabi ng wife ko actually.
Bogus. Gusto ko yung bogus. Bakit bogus?
Nakatingin nga ako sa asawa ko ngayon tumatawa. Hindi kasi ever since my wife landed here, alam mo nung sa Pilipinas, diba, pag bumili ka ng any commodity, anything sa mall, tax included na, diba? Kung,
dito hindi pa.
Oo. So, parang ganun principle sa float plane rating. Okay, yeah, 3 hours lang or whatever, how many hours, tapos na. Pero you won't be employed by any company unless ma-finish mo yung 50 hours of float plane PIC time mo.
What?
So yun yung parang sort of behind the scene. Kasi more on insurance purposes siya. Oh, hindi kita i-hire kasi, technically you have your float plane rating, but we weren't able to insure you, or we're not able to insure you kasi you don't have 50 hours of it. So,
Parang sa multi-engine rating no? Yeah, you have the rating pero hindi ka namin paparent.
yes, ganun. So, tawag ng asawa ko sa lahat ng mga bilihin dito, bogus. And that's why I call the the float plane rating bogus.
Kasi for her, na yung price na yon hindi pa kasama yung tax.
Bro, grabe yung expenses namin sa mga furnitures, gano'n. Offeran kami, 50% off sale, okay, 599, ayos, bili na natin yung couch, 50% off. Tapos at the end of it, bebentahan ka ng warranty, tapos may tax pa, tapos may delivery fee. Gugulat ka, parang sila pa yung nanalo eh.
Oo, parang baliwala yung 50% discount no?
Ganun na nga. So,
yun talaga eh.
Ayos tong conversation natin, bro. I enjoy it.
Thank you. I'm glad. So, being a flight instructor, what advice can you give to aspiring students, aspiring pilots, so that they can save, no? Yung mga hindi pa nagsisimula in aviation, what advice can you give them? Or to your younger self. Let's say to your younger self.
Develop a plan early on. A plan that will make sense, that is in line with whatever flying school you're gonna choose. Don't over-research kasi yun yung ginawa ko, which a lot of students na nagme-message sa akin, they tend to over-research, they tend to compare with other flying schools. At the end of the day, it's your skills, it's your money. It's actually, it's better to put it this way. Find an instructor who you can work with, who you can jive with, who will understand you more than the flying school. Because at the end of the day, you all follow the same standards. Diba? You won't pass a flight test if you don't follow the same standards. So all the flying schools already given, they all follow the same standards. But find a flight instructor who will work, who is willing to work with you, who has sort of the same personality as well, who will understand you. And that's what I share with my students the most. So
nice. Very well said, sir.
Yun.
So considering, you all kind of mentioned already, but I still want to ask it. What will be your ultimate dream job?
Ultimate dream job, siguro flying for WestJet. I know
Airline.
Yes, airlines, and specifically WestJet, and there's a reason for that.
WestJet talaga no?
Yes,
imbis na yung plug carrier, I was expecting plug carrier airline. Siyempre, plug carrier, Air Canada.
Actually, Air Canada siguro has better pay, better pension, whatever. Obviously, it's the flag carrier. Medyo parang may government something doon. Pero ang petty nung ang petty nung reason ko bakit WestJet eh. Siguro basketball junkie ka ba?
Basketball.
NBA tayo. Familiar ka ba sa Vancouver Grizzlies?
Yeah.
So, ever since bata ako, ito yung story. Siguro, ito hindi ko pa na-share sa some of my students.
Exclusive story?
Exclusivo to, bro. Only on your podcast show. Ever since bata ako, yung sa father side ko, yung most of his mga siblings nandito na sa America actually. Tapos yung isa sa tito ko, basketball fanatic. Talaga nangongolekta ng mga limited edition, hardcore.
Basketball cards, yung mga cards.
Hindi cards actually, mga anything basketball. Jersey, shorts, bola, lahat na merchandise. Siguro may cards din siya. To the point na nag-caught ng attention ko yung jersey ng Vancouver Grizzlies. So maybe now you're seeing the connection.
Okay.
So sabi ko, nung nalaman ko noong 2010 na lilipat kami na mag-move kami ng Canada, sabi ko saan? Sa Vancouver. Baka sa Vancouver lang ang alam kong city dahil doon. Kasi sabi ko, yung weird NBA, bata ako. NBA, alam ko sa America, meron pala sa Canada. Saan ba yung Canada? So doon na-open yung eyes ko through Vancouver Grizzlies. Sabi ko, ang ganda ng jersey, kulay teal. Sabi ko, ni-research ko pa yung kulay nun. Tinanong ko pa ata yung mga teacher ko sa elementary. Sabi ko, kulay green siya pero kulay blue. Bright green, blue-green ba to? Sabi, teal yan, teal ang color. Anyways, So cut the long story short, sabi ko Vancouver. Tapos sabi ko nakita ko dito pala ako naging familiar na may airline palang WestJet. Never kong na-run across yung name na yon. Tapos naganda na lang ako sa kulay. Sabi ko, this reminded me of Vancouver Grizzlies. Sabi ko, tapos yung uniform nila may parang may pagka-shade of like teal. Pati yung dito ata nila. It just amazed me. Sabi ko, parang it stunned me. Sabi ko, I want to fly for that airline. So ever since
just because of the color, you're sold.
Just because of the color, I'm sold. Yes, exactly.
Nasold ka na. Pero maganda rin kasi ang history ang story ni WestJet eh.
Which I'm not familiar with.
It's a low cost airline na para mala Cebu Pacific. Una, limited lang yung flights nila, limited location, and then the demand picks up and they were able to cater almost most of Canada, parang ganun.
Hindi ba sila yung Canada's biggest airline? Sila ba? Or
Air But Canada they started small.
Pero sino may title ng... Kasi alam ko sa Philippines, Cebu Pacific ang holder ng biggest airline in the Philippines eh. Ang
Canada, I don't know.
Hindi mo rin alam. Baka lang alam mo.
Hindi ko rin alam.
Ayun. So, yun yung
WestJet.
Ultimate. Yes, WestJet.
Up to now, despite of knowing that your only reason is the color, what if they change the color?
Ewan ko, siguro partly the name. Ang ganda lang parang WestJet. Parang it's unique. Parang kasi ang tunog ang tunog repetitive na Air Canada, Philippine Airlines. Parang it's just
napaka-cliché pag flag carrier, parang gano'n.
Parang gano'n. Parang it's given. Parang Air Canada captain ka. Parang okay, nice. Parang pag sinabi mo WestJet.
May mystery, may kind of mystery. Saan bansa yung WestJet? Parang gano'n.
Yes, exactly. Yun yung hinahabol ko. Well, not really hinahabol, but mostly my reason why I wanted WestJet. Kaya ito, part of the reason, our listeners won't see this, but look this, yung mug namin.
Dito mo naman, ha?
Deal.
Hindi pa man, loyal na kagad. Dapat you should put this interview dun sa resume mo. Please click this link. To prove how loyal I am to you guys.
And go to the 1 hour mark, something like that.
Yeah. And speaking of which, man, thank you so much for doing this. I won't keep you for long. And if you can just tell people where can they find you on social media.
Oh, yes, bro. It's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure. I think we're going to do this again. We'll plan for another one.
Oh, please. Of course.
Yes, a different topic. I know I have my own sort of Spotify podcast as well, which I'm working on. It's been put to halt because of my personal things that I've been doing recently.
Adulting.
Yeah, yun nga. It's sort of getting in the way, but at the same time, I have to focus on my career as well. So you can find me on my YouTube channel. Just look up my name, Poul Go, with an O. So Poul, Papa Oscar Uniform Lima. Last name is Go. So just look it up on YouTube. I also have an Instagram. You can communicate with me there and listen to my podcast. It's also available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, which a show called Ergo. We love aviation. And what else? I'm working on a lot of stuff. So stay tuned. The next,
and for people who wants to purchase your merchandise, man.
Oh, yes. Yeah, your merchandise go. Actually, just anywhere on my YouTube channel, there is a link there directly on my merchandise page. And I thank everyone for all the contributions and donations. If some of my viewers found themselves here, which I also am going to promote. Speaking of which, let me just take a quick screen capture here, bro. Meet ka lang tayo dyan. 1, 2. Okay. I'll post this on Instagram, and then just let me know when this podcast episode will be up and uploaded para ma-inform natin sila.
Yes.
That's everything.
Thank you so much, bro. Thank you for doing this. I know you're busy. You've been moving to your new house and your new life. A lot of new with you for 2021, and I'm happy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you, bro. But anything aviation, sign me up, bro. Sign me up. Anything aviation talk, I'm all for it.
All right. All right. I guess that's how we're gonna end it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, bro.
Have a good one.
Okay, see ya.
See ya.